Weeks has passed since my last diary and journal entry, and most importantly, my consistency is experiencing a pause on collecting the data. So I'm going with the flow. I'm doing my days kind of intuitively, though another point of view, maybe the objective point of view, is that I'm procrastinating and I'm just trying to justify or explain my laziness. Well, I don't think I ever been lazy in my life, but really the big question is why am I not doing what I set out to do? So I'm asking myself that, and I'm kind of looking at where things leading me, because my body is definitely in control. My body's need is the dominating one for weeks now. That means I'm eating when I feel like it. I still don't go crazy on the food selection, so my food intake, the variety of my food intake remained quite narrow compared to what I used to take. So that's the positive and lasting change that I can report. But my two major milestones, not to eat after 4 o'clock and try to eat earlier as possible in the day, experience this truth to hold strongly with me, even though I never been a person who likes to have breakfast. But the sugar metabolism is the strongest in the morning. That's the fact. And exercise. Now, granted, weather has been kind of yucky, wet, yucky, and all that, cold. So who wants to go out and walk in the cold rain? All right, so that can be a justifiable excuse, I guess. But at the same time, I didn't feel like motivated too much to exercise either. So how to summarize, or how to conclude? What conclusions can we make? Well, the conclusion is kind of progressive. Thanks to very good videos I'm watching on health, mostly from Huberman. I hope I pronounce his name, Andrew Huberman from Stanford. I mean, he is gaining a lot of popularity this year because of the high-value truths and scientific facts that he's sharing. So, thanks to him and some other good resources, I'm concluding that, all right, when we look at the scientific view of change, any kind of change that human behavior is involved, how to do routines, and come on, baby, go. Then certain stages are consistent regardless of personalities and circumstances. So we go through these cycles, and also the expectation shouldn't be linear. Shouldn't be just going up straight and voila, we arrived. We reversed diabetes. If that could be that simple, everybody could do it. I wonder how many of us can actually do this. I think a few here and there, but most of the people will succumb to just give up. Well, I ain't giving up, but I do accept those times, even if it's days and weeks, hopefully not months, when my quantified self is going back to the routines or the activities that hopefully will establish a routine. And contrary to the popular belief that do something for 21 days and there you go, you form a new habit, I mean, sure, depending on the habit and depending on the person and circumstances, this can be done, but this may take the majority of the year, several months. So it's highly personal, highly dependent on circumstances and all the variables, known and unknown. Long story short, looking at the change in a cyclical term as a spiral. As long as we collect the data, and in this case, obviously the blood sugar and the glucose metabolism, we will know over time that this spiral, with all the distinctive stages of change, is a downward spiral that we're just putting a brake on by occasionally or once in a while doing the right thing, or it is an uphill or upward spiral where, even though we do experience time to time the what's the word in English for it? When we fall, when we quit for the time being, there is a word but it eludes me right now. Any event, when we get to that last stage of the change, that's okay. We embrace it as part of the process and just wait for the right timing when the body says, okay, now I'm done. I'm tired of eating and feeling sluggish, and I'm tired of the old routine because I know it's not good for me. And then the body let go and let the mind to dominate, because that's exactly what happened. My mind was very strongly coming on with all this new information and expectations to, oh, we can do this, we can do that, because in my mind, I'm still a young man. I can do all those wonderful things that I've done in my life. But my body is the one who says, oh, forget it. You ain't gonna be running the mile. And you ain't going to be doing all those wonderful things as a young man I used to do. So, okay, my mind says, then what? So it seems to me that I'm coming out of this remission and getting into the program that the mind set out to do, and restart recording the important data. And perhaps I can still modify my spreadsheet and integrate other variables and simplify yet the other ones. Bottom line is, I need to have the data so I can have an objective view periodically and see where is my spiral going, upward or downward. But the biggest takeaway from this, I don't even know, I have to look at my spreadsheet how many weeks of not staying with the program, is that not to have this linear expectation of growth, but recognizing the science of change, how science identified the stages of change, and recognize the circular dynamics of it. And when we are in the last one and we're falling back, then accept that, embrace it, and just wait when the timing is right, and then the mind comes into play again. And then just keep repeating the circles, the spirals, until there will be no remission. Because the idea is to, after the fifth, I think there's a sixth stage to it, after the fifth one, the change is lasting and we achieved our ultimate goal. At least for the time being. I mean, eventually we all degrade and die, but what a beautiful death is the one that one can will him or herself into, such as what I was reading in a deep survival book, where they found a man under the pine tree, made a very nice area for himself. He took off his clothes, he put his wallet on a rock, So obviously he took care of the details of surrounding of his death and when his body is going to be found. And the people who found him, the rescue party went out because he was reported missing. They were so surprised to see him, so peaceful and so nice. They thought he's alive. That's how nice the view they found. He was like smiling, absolute at peace. So that's what I call a beautiful death. Not when our life is being extended by machines and nurses and doctors trying to fight for every minute. For what? If the body is worn out, if the soul is ready to depart, then the soul is the one who is in charge, not the body, not the mind. Those are just a aspect of the human experience that we have. But until we are still playing the game and we are in the game, well, I prefer to be in it as healthy as possible. And if you share the same philosophy, same dynamics in your life, like what I don't want to say struggling with, but challenged with, that's for sure, for the last 3 years and going, feel free to reach out. I'm working on different ways to support each other and how to help each other in a meaningful way, going beyond putting out likes and arguing about methods of this, methods of that. Those are meaningless. I'm looking for meaningful connections where we do recognize everybody's path is unique, yet there are ways to connect and, if nothing else, bearing witness to each other's journey, to have some level of accountability, because somehow it's easier to do things for others than do things for ourselves. I heard some talk about that. I don't quite understand yet the biological, hormonal, or psychological reasons, but the video, the discussion on this topic suggested that this is tend to be the norm, that most of us are finding it easier to help others than helping ourselves. Why is that? I don't know exactly, but that's driving me to make these videos and share my thoughts. So those of us who can get together and help each other, well, why not?